Namaste, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our Wednesday evening healing prayers and satsang. Today, we are covering the subject of disappointments. And when we face disappointment in life, and we'll go in the subject very soon, how do we deal with it? How to best avoid it? And how do the great masters, yogis, what have they taught us from their life example? How to deal with such setbacks and recover, you might say, as quickly as possible. So let's start with just a minute or so of chanting. And let's chant Om just for a minute or so on the harmonium. And then we will pray, meditate briefly, and then go into the subject. Let's offer a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda ji, saints of all religions, our friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda ji. We humbly bow before you all, thanking you for your presence in our lives, the gift of your teachings, your life example, the tools and techniques you have brought into our lives to apply the teachings of yoga in every aspect of our lives. We invite your presence in this satsang today. Come to us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let's meditate, friends, just for a minute. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome once again, everybody. And this is such a, on one level, a painful reality of our life, disappointments. And on the other hand, I thought the topic was wonderful, that healing from disappointments, that sooner or later it comes. When does disappointment start in our lives? What do the great masters say? Yogananda ji said, and I saw this, my background was in surgery. I helped conduct many deliveries, cesarean sections, normal deliveries, and such as part of my training. And Yogananda ji said, when a child is born, when all of us were born, that cry, and it's a very unique kind of cry. We don't remember our own cries, but I heard it every day. And it is such a cry. And Master said that it's because we are comfortable in the mother's womb till then. We are not aware where we are, pretty much, you might say, where we are going. We've come from the astral world, which is a world of much greater freedom and expansion. And when the soul is when the body, the infant, the child is forced to breathe, the realization comes. Yogananda ji said that, oh my goodness, here I am again in the matter reality, in the physical world, and that cry comes out. And then, of course, duality, you might say, takes in a greater form. There's happiness, everyone's loving you as you're growing. There is the sorrow, and you, let's say, you have to go to school, most children cry. Then something nice happens, you get a chocolate. Well, half an hour later, it is over. There's disappointment, and we struggle with these emotions. I once met a yogi, a wonderful, remarkable saint, but his life was entirely spent in the Himalayas, pretty much, you might say, his adult life, and hardly meeting anybody, meditating, walking from mountain to mountain. And as I said, he had become a saint, but you might say on one level, he was so removed from your and my life that I enjoyed his presence very much. But one of the things he told me was, no appointment, no disappointment. And a statement like that stays with you. And there is, of course, total truth to that. You might say, no expectations, no disappointment, no depression, and no excitement, no disappointment. And one may say, well, what kind of a life is that? uh, where's the excitement, where's the fun in it? But Yogananda said, once you've gone through ups and downs, and not just of one life, of incarnations, he said, you reach the point where in your soul memory you almost know what's going to come next. I remember, again, as a child, I was I'm not saying I remembered that, but this happened to me. I was going to school, and in a school bus with many other children, and somebody cracked a joke, some child cracked a joke, and everybody laughed. I laughed a lot, and everybody stopped, but I just couldn't get the joke out of my mind, and I kept laughing. I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. And then my friend started looking at me, and then one person said, close your mouth, be quiet now, enough. I couldn't stop still. And then she said, stop. If you don't stop now, you're going to get, you're going to cry soon. You see how much wisdom there is even in little children. There's scales of, she was giving me a satsang on duality, Dvaita. And I thought, my goodness, I don't want to cry. So that statement put a break to my uncontrollable laughter. Well, guess what? It was Monday morning. I reached school, and first subject, the teacher came and she said, good morning, everybody. Before we start the class today, please submit your homework that I gave you on Saturday. And I was like, oh my God, it was such a simple, like a 3-minute exercise she had given us. But because it was so simple, I didn't even note it down in my diary, and I forgot. And I said, I haven't done it. And she said, out you go, out of the classroom. I was made an outstanding student. And standing out of the class, I was like, wow, is there some truth to that statement, that I was laughing so much? And here I am being punished. But it is true, again, the child, when we are born, we inhale, and crying and all of that, life happens. The last thing we all will do, whether we leave the path, our life, in a yogic manner, or I hate to say, for another reincarnation, the last thing we would do is, the last exhalation, the breath goes out, and in between this inhalation and exhalation, the whole drama of life and so many ups and downs we face. So why do we get disappointed? If we ask somebody, do you want disappointments in life, they'll say, no, 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 I just want to stay up, I want to be happy. Like a child would say, I just want to laugh or be happy. And how do we stay in that state? Is such a thing possible? Well, first of all, it is possible. I saw Swami Kriyananda ji, the direct disciple of Yogananda, whether he was giving a lecture, whether he was typing a book, writing a book in his house, whether he was having a meal, whether he just walked into a kitchen, as I remember one time, just to see what's happening in the kitchen, there was remarkable amount of bliss around him. It was not just our joyful expectancy that draws bliss also. It was just who he was. He had earned it. He had overcome that duality. And not just he, all of us, he said, can do it. He was once going for an open heart surgery where his heart had become so big and was suffering from a condition called atrial fibrillation. The heart can beat more than 200, 250 times per minute. And normally you would think what a restlessness it would produce. And Swami was calm through it. But the doctor said, it's time to get the surgery, otherwise you may die in your sleep. And Swami underwent the surgery. He thought that's the right thing to do. He served master's work for many decades after that. But here's the interesting thing. When somebody asked him after the procedure, how are you feeling, Swamiji? How did the procedure go? He said, I went in bliss and I came out in bliss. And that attitude, that treasure, that unshakable happiness is a state of the soul in which that little child, when we are born, we find, oh my goodness, I'm a soul in the body, and the challenge dawns upon us. But while we have the body and God has produced this physical world and you and me, we can, even if one person has found such joy, and it's not one. There are, like Tukaram said, when we are trying to find God, Tukaram was a great saint. And when we're trying to find God, it looks like we are the only ones trying to do this. So he was praying to God, will you come to me? Will you come to me? And then finally this thought came to him, why wouldn't, he said, why wouldn't you come to me? You who have come to millions of saints, why would you not come to me? So in our times, we don't find that many examples of saints. But in the higher age, the world has seen many saints. So anyway, the point is, it is possible to overcome disappointment. But let's first understand, friends, where does disappointment come from? As I was preparing for this topic, I thought of some disappointments in my own life. And this is the yogic explanation Master gave. He said, first of all, there is a self-interest. Let's call it the ego, which is what it is, that, okay, I want this direction of work. Then I want this outcome. Why do you want a certain outcome? Because you like it. If somebody suggests another outcome, no, that should not happen. Maybe that outcome is associated with certainly you're thinking that it will bring happiness, excitement. People might praise you, or you'll get rich, or whatever it be. But these two key things are involved: self-interest, that let me think more and more about myself, and let me pursue what my heart, as people say, is telling me, my likes and dislikes. And Yogananda ji said, once you've firmly committed to those two, then he said, you have set yourself up for two things. If the result goes your way, you're excited. And if it doesn't go your way, which he said, if you start counting, you'll see duality is in place. They balance, they have to balance each other out. It's like inhalation, exhalation, morning, night. I don't have to go in the detail. And Master said, once you start seeing that pattern, you say, wait a minute, I don't want disappointment. I don't even want excitement, because excitement comes and goes. Whether disappointment in the moment comes or not, excitement itself does not stay. So where is the joy in all of this? And Swami says, then you start exchanging excitement for happiness. And happiness, he said, stays with you longer. Happiness comes from not things which are excitable or stimulating. Happiness comes from, there's a, you might say, principle in nature. Generally, better things, or you put it the other way, things that bring happiness are better for us. Well, happiness itself will, after some time, go. So Swami says, after some time, the soul says, I'm not okay with just happiness. I would like joy. And then he says, then joy itself is not enough. And then the soul asks that, why am I doing all this? Why did I work so hard? Why did I become so rich? Why did I give so much energy to these people, friends, which is a good thing to do. But if the expectation is that happiness will come from outside, then again, Swami says, you are putting yourself up for disappointment, because human nature is not reliable. People are struggling themselves. Again, just like you and I are struggling with ego and likes and dislikes, everybody, unless they are a saint. So Sri Yukteswarji, Yogananda's guru, he said, only those who are established in God, their human conduct, their behavior is predictable. Everybody else is not reliable that way. Now, that does not mean we shut ourselves, but our expectations can be tempered over there. And we say, okay, I am here more to serve. I am here more to give. I am here, since I don't have to convince my audience over here. That would take more time if I had to. But since there is a God, since there is a divine will, instead of my likes and dislikes, even if some things I'm not enjoying in the moment, if I do them, we start noticing that, let's say, meditation, yoga, energization exercises, serving other people, being kind to those who may not have been kind to us, it may not bring them happiness, it starts bringing us happiness. Let's say somebody has disappointed us, somebody has not supported us, has not understood us, has perhaps betrayed us, has not lived up to our expectations or their own potential. It happens to us. We have high hopes from ourselves. We don't always live up to those. So, but talking of someone over here, let's say, if people have disappointed us, not supported us, Swami said, if you're sad, if you're bitter, if you're angry, he said, they may not change. They don't even know about this. He said, you as an aspiring yogi certainly are not benefiting. You're not growing more charitable and expanded in your consciousness. And he said, there we need to apply and bring in, you might say, kindness. So let's be careful about these things, the ego, the likes and dislikes. Before we make any decision, how do we first stay calm and then go ahead? Now, let's say we are finding ourselves in a disappointed situation. We're not happy perhaps with something we did, or somehow things the way they turned out. Kriyananda ji said the first thing to do is acceptance. That itself takes time. That, okay, things did not go the way I wanted. Then, of course, there's the thinking why they did not go and all. But again, let's not brood over that so much. He said, if you can develop acceptance and practice what he called contentment, santosh, the highest virtue. It may not be easy, because suddenly, let's say we have nothing to hold on in that state. But how can we be content? And Swamiji said, contentment is not passive, that, oh, yes, everybody is listening to me, my bank has enough money, people are pleased with my progress and what I'm doing, hence I am content. He said, in the face of having nothing, can you practice completeness in yourself? I am complete in myself. I need nothing. I need no one. Again, not rejecting people or egoically affirming that, because remember, if the ego is involved, some challenge is going to come again. But to calmly say, yes, this has happened. Perhaps this is my karma. I accept it. I am practicing contentment. Swamiji said, once you positively as you can, enthusiastically hold on to that, you see that a divine faith develops. That I know things are not working, but I am going to try to practice faith. He said, from that divine faith, calmness comes. And he said, when you're calm and not going up and down, you become a magnet. And he said, it's only a matter of time now, and the shortest possible time, because now finally you're calm. He said, you will see that you attract either God's consolation or a divine grace of some sort, or outward help in one form or another. Misunderstanding friends may become understanding once again. But how did it all start? Not randomly, because we accepted things dynamically, not passively. And we said, okay, I'm going to practice contentment. So Swami said, this simple practice. Then, of course, there is the whole lifestyle. Yogananda ji used to say, once people turn 40, and here I am, I'm 44. I was like, that's true. He said, once people turn 40, body changes, energy level changes. And people say, wait a minute, I'm not feeling the same. And why is this happening to me? Why are health issues coming up? And Master said, they forget that they had 40 years of health, and they are not again willing to accept duality. And he said, the other thing is, why not focus on health, diet, lifestyle, giving to others, meditating, loving God? We love so many people, and it's wonderful. We should love everybody. But again, if there's an expectation that some love should come back to me, or equal love, perhaps more love, many people think the world was created to love them. Again, Master said, you will be disappointed and you will not be able to handle it if you have not mentally prepared. So the goal is loving God, loving others, being kind to people. And it is an active practice, as you can see it. But once we do that, we start feeling more and more we are touching not only a distance from disappointment, we deflect that. It's like redirection of energy. From disappointment, we start feeling calmness, we start feeling happiness, we start feeling compassion, understanding for others, that of course others cannot support me. Of course, circumstances were created like this to humble me, to open new doors, as Swamiji said. Be grateful. Again, without going in the detail, I remember one or two instances in my life where a certain exam or something was so critical, so important for me, life changing, and it didn't go as per my wish, and it didn't go as per I had thought, the hours I had put in. But now I look back, it would have taken me on a whole different track, and maybe I would not be here. Most likely I would not be here. So again, often little perseverance, giving it some time, brings back that gratitude and understanding of what's really trying to happen. So let's apply these things in our daily life on a preventive level, through proper decision making, through meditation, through energization, yoga practice, daily touching that calmness, by being a person who gives, to making that switch, that when we find ourselves in that disappointed state, we say, okay, I'm going to hold on to contentment, calmness, patience, perseverance, loving God. I don't understand what's happening, and I accept it's my karma. But God, my only father and mother and friend, who loves me without condition. You see, everybody else is trying. They haven't perfected. Saints have perfected it. So the saints and God deserve our first devotion, because from them this strength will come, that you say, okay, what is there to be disappointed? What else would have happened? It's a little bit like, we know life is going to disappoint us, but we don't want to think about it. It's like death. People say, oh, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. Why not? It's going to come. If only these things were taught in school, people would be spared so much suffering. So in the school of life, friends, as we're walking together with the great masters and teachers, let's apply these things in our life so we can heal ourselves from these disappointments and bring light and joy and happiness to others. And finally, I'll close with this story. Very simple thing, because see, you can create karma of disappointment or joy also, Swami said. He was so loving. I met many people who Kriyananda ji had met out in the world, you might say, in a restaurant, in a hotel, in a shop. One meeting, one purchase, that is, they remembered him for years. Ordinary clothes. It's not like he announced himself, Swami Kriyananda is coming to your shop today. No. Anyway, Swami said, what did he do in those situations? He was so intuitive. He said he would, let's say, walk into a shop, and if he saw somebody sad, he immediately told himself, I'm going to say something, do something which brings joy. If he saw somebody had wrinkles on their forehead and they had turned bitter because of life, Swami said, I was going to give them kindness, say something. And many times when Swami gave you a compliment, people thought, oh, I'm so good, I'm so nice. It was not about you. He was trying to remove a cloud which was over you. And yes, in your soul nature, we are all wonderful people. But Swami was more, he said, trying to blow away that off season from us. And finally, he said, if he saw that somebody was disappointed in life, he would give them some encouragement, some joy over there. And when we do, when we give that way, then we find that we have generated good karma, that when a test comes to us, we may still have to go through something, but others will tell us, my goodness, how did you recover from that so quickly? It's because there is grace of God and gurus, but also because you were practicing, doing your best, trying to bring joy and happiness in the lives of other people. So when a test comes to you, of course, that energy that you've gathered is going to lift you to the best of the heights that it can. Joy to you, friends. So let's take a moment now to send rays of light. Let's think of so many of our brothers and sisters around the world who may be struggling with disappointment in relationships, in their workplaces, perhaps in health. Maybe they've fallen in doubt about God and His presence, His love for them. Let us send them healing energy that they may recover, they may feel greater joy in their hearts, in their minds, that they may love God unconditionally more and more. Let's rub our hands together, send this light out into the world. Oh. Om Shanti.